good for the fans to understand what the thinking is and why penalties are applied or aren't applied. So yeah, that move of Hampus Hagström rather across at the start, that definitely looked like an early move, and that's how it was seen upstairs as well. And Oskarsson, well, the initial contact, not too much of a drama, but when you've got a damaged car and then you turn from the extreme left to the extreme right, then things happen. So Julien Meunier got away with that one completely scot-free, or completely clean anyway, but again,
contact into the first corner. Lucas Anderson siders, and Robert Vitols has a massive roll on the outside of the first corner. The Team Farah machine is in pieces here in Älvsbyn. This will be a red flag for sure.
Yep. Car's already stopping.
It was all going off into the first corner, wasn't it? They were all coming across. That will take some looking at, but that was a massive roll.
And that's kind of what you were talking about yesterday. That saw a couple of times in the event here last year, that because that gravel trap drops away from the car, it's always going to invite the outside wheels to dig in, and then once the outside stops, the inside is still going, and over it goes.
So I've got the fortune of watching the action back on the stream, which is a bit delayed.
Yeah, it was 3 into 1, wasn't it? And being on the outside is always the danger zone. You're always going to be the one who gets rolled out of bed.
Yeah, Vitols was the innocent party, though. I think we'll look back at it once he's out of the car. There he is, climbing out of the car, Roberts, who is greeted with a huge round of applause from the Swedish crowd. Team owner Erik Fahren is not here this weekend. He has some clashing commitments, but they have a very good team, and just as well, because there is a lot of work to do to that car. Top qualifier after Q2, remember. And just looking back at the replay again on my screen, you can't see it just at the moment.
No, but we are getting a great view of actually how the cars are put together. That space frame chassis with a composite bodywork around the outside. You can see the front clip, everything ahead of the firewall, essentially. Tube frame, very straightforward to replace. And we were talking about the cars yesterday, Hal saying that, in fact, you've seen roll cages replaced overnight in the car because everything comes apart. Like a Meccano said, ask your father.
Roberts having a chat to the medical team here. The local ambulance service. Of course, safety procedures are so much more diligent now than they used to be, aren't they, Martin? Things like concussion are looked into immediately, whereas in the past they wouldn't have even been referenced. So
yeah, especially
those are the checks that are ongoing, basically.
Especially so, you know. Okay, so here we go. Watch the black car second in from the left-hand side.
That's quite a lot later, isn't it? So if you look at the red car on the inside and the black car in the middle, there's a big concertina there. I think Darvax had nowhere to go on the inside. Larsen's come out the throttle. That's the right thing to do. Lucas Anderson's carried a lot of momentum in there, but he's on the line, the blue and silver car. Vitols has been forced out wide. Was Vitols coming across slightly off the line? That had nothing to do with the end result of what happened in turn 1. But he's sort of gone from outside to outside in the first 2 corners, hasn't he? This is Vitols going into the gravel. We saw a very similar incident with Simon Olofsson in lights here last year. That's the windscreen parting company with the car. I would say, actually, remarkably, because it's so soft on the outside, so I don't think anyone's done anything wrong there. Reynes, our race director, may have a different opinion, but they've just made side-by-side contact on the way into the first corner. But because the car's rolled corner to corner to corner to corner on the bodywork, okay, it's lost the rear spoiler, it's lost most of the bodywork, but most of the wheels seem to be pointing in approximately the same direction there, Martin. Yeah. And
you can see, actually, you can see a bent upper wishbone on the right-hand side. But again, they're bolt-on phenomenal. That's the whole concept of it, is that there is going to be damage and you need it to be serviceable.
And with only 10 cars in the lights class at the moment, they can afford to miss Q3. If Roberts is all fine and the car can be repaired, there's no reason why he can't start the semi-final later on. There's Lucas Anderson and the JC squad. They've obviously had a bit of... Is that rear wheel towing out significantly in the background? There's Ian Hemming at the back of the car having a look at Anderson's car. There's Roberts Vitols on his haunches looking at the damage. everyone's giving their opinion on what happened, but
now you see, because they've been running wide into the gravel trap, they've sort of dug a little trench just off the loose, and that's built more of a bank in the gravel trap. And actually, if he hadn't caught that, if he'd been another wheel's width further out, he probably would have surfed through the gravel trap and lost ground, but stayed on and not rolled so dramatically. But it's where he gets out wide, there's a groove, and then there's sort of a bank of gravel, and he, you know, the outer wheels just trip over that. If he hadn't rolled, I think it would have been, you know, he might have finished second or third still, because he had plenty of pace.
of course the question is always damage to the roll cage, which obviously immediately ends your day. The top of the door's quashed quite a lot there, isn't it? So
but
the first thing the scrutineers will look at.
Opening or not? Again, yeah, I mean, the team will have a look at it and see, okay, we can put a new one of those on, a new one of those on, a new one of those on. But certainly the parts truck is going to be the first port of call. And the problem with it being a double race weekend is that actually you might have to sacrifice the rest of today to try and focus on getting the car back out again tomorrow.
Sure, but we both know that's not how motorsport teams work, is it? And they'll be desperate to drag whatever they can to the grid for the semi-finals and then deal with the repercussions tonight. There's the JC squad.
They are replacing a rear arm, aren't they?
And such is the capability of the JC squad that they've got all sorts of mechanics down there that work in the other parts of the team. The open four-wheel drive car of Svensson and Mats Oman, of course, in pre-grid by now anyway, so those mechanics are there also. I wonder how long they'll be given here. There's a brand new tyre, and I think we're going to hear from our race director, Rainis Knitters, who, of course, while looking at the adjudication of the incident, will also decide whether this scenario can take place, who can repair the cars and who can't.
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I would say clearly it's a race incident, and I think the car who rolled also squeezed other cars to the inside and made the first movement. If it couldn't happen roll, then I think there could be some penalties because of that, not giving respect to cars inside. But what happened after, I think, is just race incident due to track. It's just soft sand outside, and the blue car was clearly inside, going side by side, just too optimistic and unlucky. So got sideways and bam, crashed.
So talking off the blue car, how long have you given JC Race Tech to fix Andersson's car in the pre-grid? What's the discussion that's gone on there?
Yeah, it's still towing in. I allowed them to work. All cars can work on them, or all teams. But as long as we have towing, it's okay for them to work. When towing will be finished, then I will decide how long we allow them to work.
Okay, thank you, mate. And yeah, have they recovered the Vitols car yet? Are they? Well, JC from our pictures have got Andersson's car back together. So thank you, Rainis.
And yeah, I see also the ATVs are leaving, so we are on time.
That was the car facing the wrong way in pre-grid there, Martin, because clearly Andersson
drove to the team.
Yeah, and the team has a lot of experience. They'll have been saying to him, get here immediately, because the sooner you get to us, the longer we've got to try and fix it. There was Joel Kristoffersson. As you can see, Joel is the tall, blonde guy standing behind Svensson's FC2, just there overseeing what was going on. And yeah, fantastic. They've managed to get that car repaired, getting Andersson back to the grid. And of course, with one less car, you have one less opportunity for the squeezing that Rainis was talking about into the left-hander. And I wouldn't be surprised if he has some sort of driver meeting at some point ahead of tomorrow, at least, because we're seeing that more and more, aren't we? The car on the inside getting squeezed heavily into the wall. Yeah,
you can see the damage on the blue, on the black and red car of Mads Larsson, who got almost turned 90 degrees into the side of the white nose car, Kevin Darbach. And again, that's lost a body part or part of the front bumper, which is just supported by that little tube frame attached to the nose box. So again, from right to left, predominantly red and yellow is Tobias Darbach, predominantly white is Kevin Darbach, then Mads Larsson, then the gap, and then Lucas Andersson on the outside. And again, big contact. I mean, really heavy contact, and that is the end of it for Mads Larsson. Broken steering instantaneously. He's in the gravel. I think the race director might have to stop this one as well. That car is not in a very good position.
It depends, I guess, if Mads is able to get out of it and they're able to cover it under double wave yellows, as we saw earlier on an open two-wheel drive. But I'd like to see that again. Is that a red flag, or is that Darback with an issue? Yes, it is Darback with an issue. Anderson out front. I want to see it again before casting any decision on what happened, but for sure Anderson came across hard and was turned sideways. If he's got more damage, the team will be frustrated by that, won't they? Because they've just worked really hard to fix it after the last one. But Larsson will be the most frustrated. There he is out of the car, so I think they'll let this run because, yeah, he's in the gravel trap on the outside.
Yeah. Well, Lucas Anderson jumps clear, and Kevin Darback.
Oh, Anderson's off. I wonder if he's got damage as a legacy of that first corner. I think the front geometry is miles away. Let's have a look at the right.
I think he might have broken the front left with that initial contact away from the line.
At least the geometry's not doing what it ought to, but he's got to try and keep going, hasn't he? Because with two cars
only
left.
One now, because that is, again, Tobias Darback has stopped. Mads Larsson is in the gravel. Robert Vitols that didn't start.
Kevin Darback still going, though. Martin in second. That's Tobias that stopped in the background. He stopped a couple of times, hasn't he? So clearly some sort of reset went on and then it wasn't working again. Kevin Darback pushing hard out front, who is in the lead by some 5 seconds. They're both taking the Joker laps. This is all about Kevin trying to get the best time and get somewhere near the time of Julian Meunier. The trouble is the previous Supercar Lights race took place so long ago, I've totally forgotten what the best lap time was there, but we'll find out very shortly.
Yeah, this is going to be the race that nobody finished almost. So Kevin Darback kept his nose sort of clean. Well, he did. I mean, he got hit in the first heat as Mads Larsson was turned into him. Got hit in the second heat or second start as Mads Larsson was turned into him. And somehow, what's left of his car comes to the line. So Kevin Darback with that one.
The 2:28.7 is just shy of Julian Meunier's time, but good enough for second fastest. 2:29. I think Hagstrom's time we've got on the screen is yet to have the 3-second penalty added that Rain has talked about. But this is also going to be a career best qualifying position for Phoebe Cake by virtue of what's gone on over these couple of races.
Absolutely, and Lucas Anderson, the only other finisher at the line. Again, not going to preempt anything, but
well, let's have a look back at it. So Anderson's on the outside.
Didn't have the cleanest start, shall we say?
Yeah, Anderson's turned in hard there, hasn't he? I think I feel sorry for Mads Larsson because he was totally the innocent party there. I wonder what Rainis will do about that. I'm sure we'll hear once he's got his work done. That's the first corner again. That was really the only action of the race, wasn't it? Apart from Anderson going off of his own accord with that presumably damaged steering later on. Lucas Anderson, of course, one of the rising talents of this series and set to make his European Championship debut next weekend in Julius.
Well, you got to feel for Mads Larsson there. He was fifth. And again, what happened to Tobias Darback? It just stopped dead. And Control-Alt-Delete sort of almost worked, but he had as much luck with that car mechanically as I'm having with the printer in the booth. And Mads Larsson, well, he was top 5 after the first 2 qualifying races and will not be. Car very firmly buried. He took a battering in the first start, got turned sideways into Kevin Darback, and the same happened in the second, and that, broke the steering, and off he went. Well, it's getting busier and more fraught, isn't it, as our day goes on. Kevin Darback and Lucas Anderson, the only survivors of that one, and that's before Reiners actually has a look at and a decision about what happened in the action.
Let's hear from Reiners then and see what those decisions are. Reiners, not many finishes in that one. Talk us through it.
That's way too much for me. We have to calm down, and we have to calm down the drivers, and team members or spotters have to work on young kids, so they are out of control completely at the moment. And in this race, it's for no doubt black flag for number 99. You're P5 and you crash into P3, closing the doors and causing collision. It's just too much. He fixed the car just one heat before, and now he goes there and if you're clearly in front, then you can do things like that, but there he was not clearly in front and making big damages for many cars, and yeah, we have to stop it in early stage.
In a single make category like lights, it's near impossible, isn't it, to make a good enough start from the outside of the grid to get across and take the inside, isn't it? So I guess that result was a bit inevitable.
Yeah, but then you respect other drivers, and if you're so fast, then you try to beat them on the joker or in the track. We have seen many clean overtakes also in this track, crossing the line and doing different things, but you cannot win a race in turn 1.
Thank you, Reynes. Yeah, no, brilliant insight, Martin. Yeah, Reynes is right, isn't it? People need to calm down a bit. That was a bit of chaos in Supercar Lights.
Well, it's almost like they've forgotten that after you've gone through that left-hand kink, the next corner is the right-hander and you're on the inside. So all you've actually got to do is be level-ish, and suddenly you're in the driving seat going down into the right-hander. But